Lady Justice is no longer blind. She has ripped off the blindfold and become enamored with all the colors. Well, at least the skin colors. In an era defined by social justice in which intersectional equity now trumps equality under the law, mob rule and fear of reprisal now means that self-defense has become a capital offense. And it just cost one man his life. More after the intro.
Never tell them who I am. Well, how dare I'm a man. Six shooters in both my hands. I'm a cold-blooded brother, a real bad mother. Watch out, honey, here I am.
The rule of law is in serious jeopardy, and this story right here is just the latest in a string of incidents that are showing that more and more mob rule and fear of reprisal from that mob rule is actually superseding just implementation of the law. So, from Breitbart, the Omaha bar owner who fatally shot protester is indicted and commits suicide. Now, little backstory on this, because I don't know if you guys remember when this happened. This is the guy who shot James Scurlock in an Omaha bar during kind of that first weekend of the George Floyd riots. And apparently what happened, and there was, well, not apparently, because there was video to show this man, Jake Gardner, comes out and he sees these people attacking his dad. And so he comes out and he's got a gun, and I guess he fired some warning shots. He told the people to leave. He tried to get them to get out. They wouldn't, so he fired a couple warning shots, and James Scurlock decided to attack him. And as James Scurlock is attacking him, he's telling him, get off me, and he told him a few times. And then finally, fearing for his life as he's being attacked, he shoots the gun and he kills James Scurlock, who was attacking him. And initially, they were not going to press charges. But I guess because for reasons, I don't know why, other than the fact that we are now witnessing the dissolution of law and order in favor of mob violence and mob rule, they decided to press charges. Now, I have the backstory here just so we can take a look at exactly what happened. This is from the Washington Times. This is back kind of when it happened. Prosecutors showed video of the incident before Klein announced that he wouldn't file charges. Shortly before the shooting of the bar owner was Shortly before the shooting, get yourself a copy editor, guys. The bar owner was backing up away from protesters and asking them to leave. Then the bar owner was shoved to the ground by two people before he fired two shots. Then Scurlock jumped on top of the bar owner. Klein said Gardner asked Scurlock to get off of him several times before he fired the fatal shot. Now, this is what's a little alarming here, that he had to call out that this decision may not be popular and may cause more people to be upset. I would hope that they can understand that we're doing our job to the best of our ability and looking at the evidence and the law, and that's all we can do. It was a clear-cut case of self-defense. Jake Gardner was being attacked by James Scurlock, and Jake Gardner did everything he could to try to get these people to leave peacefully. But they knew that these rioters were out there causing havoc to businesses, which is exactly what they were doing to a bar that he owned. I don't know if they had started of course they had started setting fires to the thing yet. Started setting fires to buildings at that point. They, in Minneapolis, they had already burned down the the 3rd police precinct. So he knew what was going on. And let's go back to this Breitbart story. An Omaha bar owner who fatally shot a protester in May during the weekend riots across the country following the death of George Floyd has allegedly died by suicide after being indicted last week on charges involving the incident. Jake Gardner from the Hive Bar in Omaha has committed suicide after being indicted for manslaughter, use of a deadly weapon to commit a felony, attempted first-degree assault, and terroristic threats last week, according to a report by KETV. Now, we are seeing this more and more and more. That as the mobs go out and they assault people, they burn down buildings, they cause all kinds of chaos. If you defend yourself, as you are legally allowed to do under the Constitution, you are the one that gets arrested. We've seen this with the McCloskeys in St. Louis. You had all the people that they had already torn down the gate to their community and were marching through. I guess somebody clapped some loaded magazines in their face and said, "You're next." And all they did was come out with their guns and stand on their lawn. I guess they did point them around a little bit, but these people were trespassing. They had already caused property damage, and they were threatening them. So, also, Missouri has one of the strongest, if not the strongest, castle doctrines in America. And nonetheless, I believe her name's Kim Gardner, actually. The DA in the DA in that county, or in that city, whatever the region was, decided to press felony charges against the McCloskeys. We also saw that with Kyle Rittenhouse in Kenosha. There's absolutely clear evidence that Kyle Rittenhouse did everything he possibly could to escape without hurting anybody. In fact, he was there providing medical aid to the very rioters that attacked him. And when it came down to it, he had to defend himself, and he got charged with first-degree murder. We also saw another mob recently decided that, I guess there was some man in the community that they knew he was a racist, and they went to his house, and he was at home having some drinks, and all of a sudden a mob shows up to his house, and he flashed a shotgun at them, just to let them know, don't try this here. And of course, there's no evidence that this guy was a racist. I think he had an American flag and a Trump sign or something, and that was probably all the evidence that they needed in order to mob his house. But anyways, he flashes a shotgun, doesn't fire it, nothing. And when the police come, it isn't the mob of people who came to his house to harass and threaten him that get arrested. It was the man himself. And we're going to start seeing this more and more often, where it is just easier for the police to arrest the victim and charge the victim. Make the mob happy. This is going to be the absolute death of the rule of law and law and order in this nation. These police, they signed up for a job, and don't get me wrong, I am pro-police, but I'm going to become... Things can change if all of a sudden they lose their spines, they no longer do their job, and they no longer serve and protect the community, but instead become an arresting force for the mob. And we're seeing with all of these district attorneys, most of them, of course, with that George Soros money behind them, they will not follow the law when they decide who to charge, who to indict, who to arrest, and who goes to jail. This is going to be the end of America as we know it. This is the mob. This is the Marxists getting everything that they want. You know, it was like in Germany in the 1930s. I believe it was Hermann Göring, whoever it was. They wanted to get rid of the police and replace them with the brown shirts. That is essentially what we are getting right now. Except in this case, we don't even have to get rid of the police. You just have the mob outnumbering the police, and the police are just doing the bidding for them at this point. It's very, very scary stuff. And when we look at, and the media is driving so much of this. After the incident, just take a look at this article from CBS News. The headline reads, "A white bar owner in Omaha shot and killed a black protester. He won't face charges." What is this headline trying to accomplish? Is it trying to tell people what happened? Because if it was telling people what happened, it wouldn't, A, be framing the entire situation along nothing but racial lines. And it also wouldn't be trying to incite the mob by after defining it along racial lines, making sure they know that the white person got away with it. Except for the fact that he didn't get away with anything. He was a man minding his own business who the mob came and started attacking his father, and then he did everything he could to try to get them out of there without hurting anybody. But when they attacked him, pinned him on the ground, attacked him, he defended himself. So he shouldn't be facing charges, and there's a lot more to the story than just a white man killed a black man. But the media, they love this and they are fueling it. And I know that we have freedom of the press and free speech, but when it comes to things like this, the CBS News article, you could make an argument that this is incitement. I mean, it skirts the line, so it's not direct call to action, so which is how they get away with it. But if you think the media does not know what they are doing when they put out articles with headlines like this, you are either stupid or lying. This article is designed entirely to fan the racial tensions. They want a race war. That is what they want. And at this point, giving them the benefit of the doubt would just be assuming that they're only doing it for clicks, that it's just clickbait to them. But I don't think that's the case. I think these people know what Black Lives Matter, what Antifa is, or what they are. They know that they are a Marxist organization looking to overthrow the entire American system of freedom, of equality that we have worked so hard and so long to gain. They know that's the agenda, and they want it. Because when it all comes down, and the communist revolutionaries the revolutionaries won't take over. The revolutionaries will get executed. But when the opportunists who are pulling the strings of these revolutionaries fully take over, these people here at CBS News and other media outlets know that they will be the new propaganda wing. And they are hedging their bets for the revolution. It is absolutely disgusting. So we go back here to this Jake Gardner story. In June, Breitbart News initially reported that no charges would be filed. Okay, so I've covered that already. The Douglas County attorney, Don Klein, had concluded that Gardner had acted in self-defense and therefore did not file charges. Just days ago, however, a grand jury decided to indict the bar owner. You have to wonder what the grand jury selection process was in order to look at this evidence and think that it merited, what were all the charges? Manslaughter and manslaughter, use of a deadly weapon to commit a felony. How to use a deadly weapon to commit a felony? That is literally saying that self-defense is now a felony. You just have to roll over and die for these people. And they have the law on their side now. Attempted first-degree assault. He was asking these people to leave. These people didn't face any charges for attacking his bar, for causing terror there, for attacking his dad, for attacking him. He only shot the guy after he was personally attacked. This is a clear-cut case of self-defense. But again, it's now going to be easier to just arrest, charge, indict, and imprison the victim. This is the end, guys. Unless something changes here, unless something happens. But, we saw, again, a lot of these district attorneys that are actually filing the charges against the victims and making sure that they're the ones who go to jail, they are being funded by George Soros in absolute astronomical numbers. I had a video pulled up earlier, and I don't think I still have it up here. That was going through the numbers of how much George Soros. Okay, actually, I do have it pulled up. Let's talk about this real quick. The whole George Soros angle of all this, because this was a follow-up to the video that I did the other day where I talked about this interview with Newt Gingrich and how mentioning George Soros was apparently verboten and they wouldn't hear it. But buying prosecutors who are soft on crime. Since 2015, Soros has pumped tens of millions of dollars into local races in Texas, Colorado, California, Oregon, Washington, Florida, and New York, as well as swing states such as Pennsylvania, Virginia, and Arizona. In 2016, Soros spent $2 million on a single sheriff race in Maricopa County, Arizona. helping the leftist candidate Paul Penzone win. Now, Maricopa County, that was where Sheriff Joe Arpaio, where he was one of the toughest sheriffs in town. Well, now they got a leftist sheriff, completely changing law enforcement in the region. In Philadelphia, Soros spent an insane $1,700,000 to elect Larry Krasner DA. Soros has also given millions of dollars in grants to candidates in other states. These enormous contributions have correspondingly enormous impact. Although his efforts haven't been universally successful, the vast majority of Soros-backed candidates have won, with Soros donations pushing them across the line. Look at all of $2 million to Kim Foxx. That was the lady who decided not to press charges against Jussie Smollett for faking his hate crime. That cost over, I think it was like $130,000 in law enforcement to investigate, and also captured media attention across the nation. You know, all of these millions of dollars to fund Amaris Ayala's campaign to become the state's attorney in Orlando, Florida. Now, all of this. Now, I'm not going to go through all of this list. You guys can pause the video and read that list right now if you'd like. But that's just a partial list. But it surely corroborates Gingrich's point that Soros paid for the outcomes of those elections, notwithstanding Harf's unsubstantiated denial. In 2018, the Los Angeles Times reported Soros spent $2,700,000 on California district attorney races alone, and another $16 million on 17 DA races in other states. Now, let's take a look at what this has actually meant. So, look at how crazy these Soros DAs are. San Francisco's new DA, Chesa Boudin, is a perfect example of the ideological temperament of the candidates Soros has been backing. Boudin is a former translator for the late Venezuelan socialist dictator Hugo Chavez. He's also the son of two Weather Underground domestic terrorists who were convicted of murder for their roles in a Brinks armored car robbery that resulted in the killings of 3 people. Due to the incarceration of his parents, Boudin was raised by former Weather Underground leader Bill Ayers. Bill Ayers was also a also former Weather Underground leader. So yeah, Bill Ayers was the leader of Weather Underground. Now, I've talked about this in recent videos, but you might not have watched all my videos. Barack Obama, when he announced his political career, he did it in the living room of Bill Ayers, who is a communist. And the son that he raised, the son of communists who he raised because his parents were in prison for being communist terrorists, went on to become a translator for Hugo Chavez. Huge contributions from deep-pocketed Soros have made it nearly impossible for anyone to compete against his chosen candidates because DA elections rarely involve campaign war chests in excess of a few tens of thousands of dollars. Soros's millions allow his candidate to bombard voters with propaganda, including commercials that smear Republicans as racist for wanting to fight crime. Now, I'm not going to get into all of this. I just wanted to make this point that George Soros is behind funding the dissolution of the rule of law in America. And, you know, we like to think that these Marxists, that these leftists are stupid because they believe in such stupid ideology. The only ones who are stupid are the rioters and the useful idiots that actually believe it. The ones pulling the strings, the ones orchestrating it, they are not stupid. They are actually brilliant, evil geniuses. They know what they're doing. You know, when most people think, oh, well, George Soros is just funding a few local elections, what does that matter? Well, it matters because they're also funding the agitators who create all this violence and create the situation where people need to defend themselves and then find themselves in front of these DAs that he backs, and they're the ones who get arrested. And what message does that send to America? What message does that send? Defend yourself and pay the price. This is terrifying. So back to this Breitbart article about Gardner, because I feel like I haven't given enough weight to the Gardner element of the story, because he has now killed himself because he was facing charges for this. So yeah, oh, excuse me. County Attorney Don Klein was not going to press charges, but a grand jury decided to indict. Now, I hope he turns himself in and we can start this process of seeking justice. But if not, I hope Omaha Police Department or the sheriff's office treat him like everybody else, said Scurlock family attorney Justin Wayne. If they have to fly or drive to get him, that's what they do. In a case that was clearly self-defense, they are pushing for it's either roll over and die, let the mob do what they're going to do to you, or if they don't finish you off, we will. That's the message. The report added that Special Prosecutor Frederick Franklin had said he would be in touch with Gardner's attorneys to find out whether Gardner would turn himself in or if an arrest warrant was necessary. Now, Gardner has died by suicide, according to multiple sources who spoke to KETV Newswatch 7. The fatal confrontation between Gardner and Scurlock occurred in Omaha outside the Hive Bar during the infamous week of protests, which quickly devolved into riots following the death of George Floyd. The man was in his own bar. These people came and harassed him, attacked his father, attacked his family. You have every right. And I think that this guy, Jake Gardner, did everything that he could to prevent having to actually fire upon anybody until he was pinned to the ground by James Scurlock after firing warning shots. Now, I know you're supposedly not supposed to fire warning shots, I guess because you don't know where the bullets are going to go. But when somebody fires a gun, you do not then jump on them and attack them. What the hell do you expect is going to happen? The left are rabid, feral animals. And they have now gotten power in our government, in our law enforcement, to the point where now, who is going to want to defend themselves when they see these people are being made example of? That's what's happening. They're making examples out of all of these people who defend themselves so that people like you or me, if we're sitting in our home, if we're accosted, if we're attacked, we're going to be more scared of the reprisals of defending ourselves, and we might just let ourselves get killed so we don't have to go through the rigmarole of prison for being attacked. These are end times, guys, and something's got to give. Something's got to give. We are waiting to see how the election goes, but I got a feeling things are going to get very, very, very ugly. Anyways, guys, that's the video. If you haven't already hit that like button, please go ahead and do that. Also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel and hit the notification bell, please go ahead and do that because we all know it's voices like mine that are first to get taken out back in old Yeller by the folks at Big Tech. So make sure that this video gets some numbers. My other videos get some numbers. I am nothing but a nobody trying to push against the massive winds of change, the hurricane of change, the tornado of change, whatever you want to call it. Also, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Parler at Ram Thorburn. And if you would like to contribute to the channel, I have been having some issues with my computer and some of my other gear lately. I could certainly use an upgrade. There are links to my Subscribestar, Patreon, and PayPal down in the description below. Anyways, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.